Hi Sheddies, it's me, Eddie Stevens. I'm back in the Bosque here in New Mexico. The Bosque is, of course, the forest, the beautiful forest that grows by the river here. It is beautiful, but it wasn't a beautiful experience for me today. I was on my run. As you all know, I've been running here for over 15 years now. Not non-stop, obviously, but twice a week, at least once a week for 15 years I've been running here. And this has never happened before. Every sort of 6 or 7 minutes, I ran through a huge cloud, a swarm of little twat flies. I don't know what the technical term for them. It's probably not twat flies. I think they're tsetse flies. Tsetse. What an annoying word. I'm not calling them that. Clouds of twat flies, little twats, that got in my eyes. As I was running, I kept getting insects in my eyes, which is a very disturbing thing to have happen. And in my mouth. Really fucking annoying it was. So we're back to my ever popular top 10/top 5 England players in each position. I, believe it or not, already recorded this weeks ago. But I'd been running with my headphones on, and this bit of hair back here was sticking straight up for the entire video. And I felt like I looked like a damn fool, so I wasn't going to use that. So then I got ill. I feel like I've been sick for months. That's the problem with STDs, isn't it? They don't go away on their own. They don't go away on their own. You can't fuck them away either. But we're on to Tighthead prop. That's what we're doing, isn't it? And easily, most people would agree, England's weakest position. But you know what? More recently, I've been thinking about this, and I'm starting to think we don't have a front row problem per se. We have a front row perception problem, or a scrummaging perception problem. I think ever since whichever the first World Cup was, where it must have been the 2019 World Cup final where we lost to South Africa, and it was because our scrum got taken to pieces. Ever since then, I feel like referees have just got this attitude that if the scrum goes wrong and England are playing, it's probably our fault. That's what I genuinely think is the problem. Certainly nothing has helped, nothing has worked. We tried pretty much everything, including bringing back veterans like Dan Cole. I say like Dan Cole, it's just Dan Cole. Including bringing back Dan Cole and hoping that he can fix the problem, which he hasn't really been able to. So what I've gone for with my top 5 props is somehow picking the Tighthead props that I genuinely believe are the best we have, but also with an eye on changing that attitude with referees. Meaning, now I'm on the record for saying size doesn't count except in the bedroom. In rugby, I think if you're good enough, you're big enough. I don't care. But we may need some of my selections. I may be opting for someone that looks physically impressive over someone that's just as good, perhaps, just so that we can give the illusion that we're not weak. I don't know. I don't know if even as I'm saying that, I might change my fucking mind on that. I haven't thought this through. Look at that. So at number 1, I always start at number 1 because it's the easiest, and generally we're agreed on this. Now, I would have said up until the autumn internationals, some of you wouldn't agree with me on this. Some of you still won't agree with me, you idiots. But I think that Will Stewart is hands down our best tighthead right now. I think he's proven it time and again. And finally, I think the general population of England fans is sort of agreed that he's not as bad as you all seem to think he was. I think he's a quality player. And the only thing that's held him back has been injuries. But as far as I'm aware, he's fit right now. And he's easily number 1. Now, number 2, there's no standout player here. I mean, in the last... Sorry, I gotta switch hands. My fucking shoulder is killing me. Under Steve Borthwick, it's been Dan Cole. Dan Cole and Will Stewart sort of vying for the number 3 shirt. Now, a few years ago, when Dan Cole first came back, may have even been under Eddie Jones, actually. I suppose it must have been. It was kind of amazing that he came back because he was considered too old and sort of over, past his best. But he was consistently playing better than anyone else in the Premiership at that point. So he deserved his recall. Lately, it's just been his reputation getting him there, and the fact that he isn't shit, and he's not going to completely let you down. But actually, more recently, this season, I've not even noticed him. He seems to be second choice at his club, and I think it's time to move on. So, second choice, I've gone with Dan Cole's clubmate at Leicester, Joe Hayes, who... He's an interesting one because I've never really rated him that highly, to be honest with you. I've always thought he was fine, but I've never really got, like, why he would be within the England conversation, except that we have such lack of depth there. But do you know what? The last few times I've watched him, I've been sort of quietly impressed with him. He's scrummaged well, and he's busy, very busy, and aggressive, which I like. And I think if Will Stewart isn't available, I'd like to see Joe Hayes given a chance. Now, almost neck and neck with him, the player I would have at third choice is Trevor Davison, formerly of Newcastle, now at Northampton Saints, who's actually been a little bit quiet recently. But he's a guy that's been on the periphery of an England shirt for a long time now, and has never quite gotten the opportunity. And now, maybe he hasn't gotten the opportunity because he hasn't been considered worthy of it, but I would like to see him given a chance. Excuse me. I'd like to see him given a chance, and I haven't seen that yet. Played well for Saints over this last weekend. Yeah, again, this is not a position that I'm super excited about, the selections, but those first three, I think they're all fairly safe. You've got Will Stewart proving himself. Joe Hayes deserves a chance. And Trevor Davison deserves a chance to prove himself, to me at least. And those three I'm quite comfortable with. So fourth and fifth, I don't see any point in having Dan Cole anymore, although I am sort of disregarding my own rules, which are that I'm not looking for development. I'm not caring about the future. I'm thinking, if you had to start this player right now, who would it be? But I've just been sort of so underwhelmed with Dan Cole this season, and last, to be honest, that I'm done with him. I'm washing my hands of Dan Cole. And in fourth place, I'm going with Afolabi Fasogbon. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. It's dangerous, this area, because you don't want to be considered racist for mispronouncing a name. Even though I am on the record, I can tell you right now, I tell people this all the time, I'm actually allowed to make racist jokes because I'm a racist, you see. So it's like, it's kind of expected of me, you know? You think about it, racists are the only people that it's acceptable for them to make racist jokes. So you can't say anything if they do it, you know? If a racist says some racist joke, you're like, what the hell, that's racist? And they're like, yeah, I am a racist. You have to be like, oh, sorry, I didn't realise. Fair enough. Yeah, I had no idea. Shouldn't have assumed. That's allowed. But Afolabi Fasogbon, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I actually don't think I've seen that much from him to be that he hasn't blown me away. He had that one game against Ellis Genge where he sort of got the upper hand, but did he really? You know, those scrums, they're a fucking gamble. And I haven't seen him do a hell of a lot, you know, around the field. But I'm kind of bowing down to the expertise of, you know, Joe Marler, Ellis Genge, David Flatman, former props that really know what they're talking about, that seem to really rate him. And it's a fresh face, it would be exciting, and he's a big fucker, and maybe the referee would be more inclined to have decisions go his way for that reason. At fifth choice, I've gone with another young prop with a name that I might be mispronouncing, Asher Opoku-Fajor. Who has gotten a lot of headlines in his time at Sale and playing England under-20s. Similar situation. I actually think I have seen a bit more from him than Fasogbon, but he's a bit smaller, and he plays loose and tight head, and I'm always going to go with a specialist tight head who's twice as big if I can, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, that it's going to paint a better picture for the referees. But certainly this is a guy who I've seen enough of to know that he is, I hate to say it, but one for the future, and he's gotten a lot of attention and a lot of respect recently. And so I think those 5 are pretty good choices for us. You've got Will Stewart, tried and tested. You know what he can do, and he's potentially could even get better. Joe Hayes, coming into his prime right now. I think he could lay down a marker if he gets a chance. Certainly seems to be preferred to Dan Cole, which in and of itself is a pretty good accolade. Trevor Davison, strong player, well respected by others, needs an opportunity to show us if he can or can't do it. I'd like to find out. And then the 2 younger, exciting props, they're pretty much on merit. I mean, you could always go for someone like Fraser Balmain and say fuck everything except scrummaging, but I don't think that really works at international level. So yeah, that's it. My shoulder is on fire. It's amazing how heavy this phone gets, even to a guy with fucking delts like mine. That's it. Sorry it's taken me so long to do this video. I know some of you have been ready to kill yourselves because you haven't got your weekly fix of me and the Bosque blathering on about things that no one cares about. Follow me on Instagram, please, at Eddie Stevens Massive. Like and subscribe to this. Follow me on TikTok if you're a raging homosexual, at Eddie Stevens 0. And I'm going to go now. God, I'm in pain.